What are the main reasons that PhD applicants are rejected from graduate school? Let's talk about this important topic today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. Phoenix Singh, coming at you to be able to talk about, frankly, one of the scariest things that you can possibly talk about, which is getting rejected from your target doctoral program. Even though I know I just mentioned the term PhD, we're going to be talking about common reasons why individuals get rejected, whether it's a PhD or a PsyD or a DSW or a DSL or anything in between, all right? Because this is something that all of us usually get really scared about. Sometimes we've already applied and we're like, uh-oh, am I gonna get in anywhere? Sometimes we're freshmen and we're just like, in college and we're thinking to ourselves, hey, I don't wanna get rejected eventually. How can I work this thing backwards and make sure that I'm as prepared as I can be? Regardless of where you find yourself in your academic journey, I wanna warmly welcome you to our community. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. We've got hundreds of videos. We release new content every single week. If you're interested in very comprehensive training on things like how to publish peer-reviewed journals, how to be able to get into graduate school, things like grant writing, finding academic jobs, and successfully applying for them, emotional wellness for researchers, and so much more, please consider becoming a member of Publication Academy, which you can find the link for down here. It is one inexpensive monthly fee. You can get a free trial to be able to check it out. I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. So I appreciate you guys listening to that little spiel. I know it's annoying. Let's go ahead and get right in. In this video, we're going to be discussing the main reasons why PhD and other doctoral applicants get rejected, and I want to provide you with some advice for a successful doctoral application, all right? So pursuing a PhD, understandably, this is a long and challenging journey. It's usually, if you end up getting in, this is like the Mount Everest for you. It's the biggest academic accomplishment you've ever hit in your life. But with the right guidance and preparation, it can be an incredibly rewarding experience. So whether you're just starting to consider a doctorate or if you're in the process of applying, this video is going to help provide you with some valuable insights to help you achieve your goal, okay? So the main reasons for rejection, number one, is a poor academic record. All right. Now, I talk about in other videos the way that you can figure out with regards to GPA what you need. I have said it a million times. I will say it again right now. You do not need a 4.0. What you need to take a look at on a 4.0 scale, what you need to do is to be able to find out for your target programs what for the last 2 to 3 cohorts is the median, not the average. What is the median GPA of all incoming students, and try to hit that or above. For some programs, it's going to be really high. For other programs, you may be shocked at how low it is. Now, when I say low, I'm not talking about like a 2.7, right? I'm talking about like a 3.3, 3.4. Totally depends on the degree that you're applying for, though. All right. So, like I said, one of the main reasons these applicants are going to get rejected is, though, due to a poor academic record, in particular courses that are very important to your major, okay? And that major presuming that you're going on to do a doctorate in it. So for example, let's say that you've got a 3.5, but the grades that brought you down are in psych stats, and let's say you want to go into neuropsychology. Okay, well, you ended up getting a C in neuropsychology and a C in biological bases of psychopathology. These are the sorts of things I'm talking about. Even though your cumulative GPA is higher, the most important classes to the work that you want to do, pretty low. In those cases, I do recommend either getting a master's first, or if nothing else, just redoing those classes, even as a post-baccalaureate applicant, to be able to try to get a post-bac fellowship is never a bad idea. It's just my recommendation. Admissions committees, remember, at the end of the day, they want to see that you've got a strong track record of academic success. A high GPA obviously reflects that, and good grades and relevant coursework, like I mentioned. If your academic record isn't up to par, it's going to be difficult to convince the committee that you've got the ability to succeed in a doctoral program. So you got to find a way to be able to overcome it. If you want to be able to work one-on-one with me to be able to figure out how exactly to be able to frame your poor academic performance, and again, when I say poor, I just mean below the median, okay, which in this case, because you really want to get into graduate school, it's something where I wish that I could tell you that that's going to be easy. In some cases it will be, because you've got other things like personal connections and publications. Otherwise it could be a challenge, all right? Just go ahead and contact me down here below. Let's go ahead and hop on a booked session. gradschoolapplicationcoach.com, you see it right here, and let's talk about that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, lack of research experience, especially for doctorates that involve direct research. Now, this is super important. Why? Because oftentimes, especially if it is a PhD, these programs are going to require quite a bit of research. So it's important to demonstrate that you have the necessary skills and experience. This can include things like doing independent research projects, being a research assistant, being a lab manager, even after you graduate undergrad, having peer-reviewed publications, conference presentations. No, not at undergrad conferences. No, not at state conferences or regional conferences. No, especially not at your university's conferences, okay? I want you to be presenting at leading national and international conferences. Oftentimes we as undergraduates, we got the sense of imposter syndrome. Who am I to, apply for these things? I have that for sure, but I can promise you that you can get those opportunities, especially for poster presentations. Okay, please believe me and please give it a shot. Like if you're applying for a clinical psych PhD, I'm talking about APA, APS, get out there, and whatever relevant division of APA you happen to be in, or happen to not be in, but it happens to fall under. So like the subspecialty you're applying for. For example, I'm a forensic psychologist, right? Clinical psychologist, but expertise in forensics. So because of that, my division is Division 41, which is the American Psychology Law Society. Become a member, go to the conferences, try to be able to present, get connected, very important, okay? Number three is having inadequate recommendation letters. Recommendation letters are a critical component of your PhD application, and in some cases, they can definitely, I wouldn't say they can make your chances of getting accepted, but they can break them for sure. I have been on a number of committees in terms of search committees and admissions committees. Oh my goodness, you should see some of these overly generic letters that come in. It makes you wonder, what were these students thinking? I once had a president of the United States write a letter of recommendation from one, a living president, but it was so generic. It made it clear that this individual, this president, had never met this kid, and maybe once or twice, and that's it. Just because somebody is famous or somebody has a big reputation in the field, if they barely know you, this is not going to help you at all right? And for the individuals that do know you very well, I want to make sure that you've got a letter from one person from a research perspective, one person from an academic perspective, one person from a practical perspective. If you don't have one of those, I suppose if you want a personality letter, that's fine, but it has to be of somebody who's qualified. Can't be from, your high school drama teacher. It can't be from, your mentor who's already, I'm a psychologist, so your mentor is a psychologist in private practice out there. I do not recommend that at all unless you've worked with that individual in direct capacity, all right? When you do select the letter writers though, obviously make sure that those individuals who you've chosen carefully, you give them plenty of time to write a strong letter on your behalf. It's important to give them all the information they're going to need as well to write an effective letter. Give them your CV, point out the things that are relevant in there, and make sure that you let them know the programs that you're applying to, what it is that they seem to be particularly looking for, and as well as the target supervisors you want to be working with, what it seems like they're looking for. Okay, so that's number three. Number four is a weak personal statement. I'm going to add to this a weak diversity statement, or weak supplemental essays that you may have as well. Your personal statement is an opportunity to tell your story. It's your narrative. So you explain why you're interested in pursuing a PhD. And it's important to be clear and concise. If they end up telling you that it's like, hey, the thing needs to be 2 to 4 pages, don't think to yourself, oh, I need to make it 4 pages then, because if I don't, they're going to think that I can't write a lot. Foolishness, okay? This is why we've got these Publication Academy programs that I built specifically to be able to walk you through sentence by sentence and template by template exactly how to prep a good personal statement, diversity statement, and so forth, because people are not very good at this. They're not very good, and they get advice from their parents, they get advice from their undergrad supervisor. Career services is the worst to be able to get guidance from. Why? They're amazing people. They're trying to teach everybody in every field how to be able to construct everything. So, whether you're applying to law school or business school or medical school or something like a PhD program, they're going to tell you that everything is overall going to take, a pretty similar bent. That's not true. Okay, so it's very important that you get guidance on exactly how to do this. Okay, so again, check out free trial down here. Okay, avoid obviously generic statements and focus on your unique strengths and experiences in your personal statement. When I say generic statements, like if you're going into clinical psych, if you say something like, I really want to help people, I'm very passionate, never use the term suffering, helping people who are suffering, I'm very empathic, I'm compassionate, I hope so, you're applying for a doctorate in psychology, okay? Don't say those things, guys. I love you to death. I want you to get into the programs. Don't say that stuff. It's very cliche, it's very kitsch, and people are going to look at it and just be like, oh my gosh, their eyes are going to roll into the back of their heads. I know that's a mean thing to say, but my job is to tell you the truth if that's the truth, okay? But the fifth thing is a lack of passion and commitment, not communicated through the personal statement though, but rather communicated in interviews, or let's say you do have a personal connection with this individual, you met him at a conference and you followed up afterwards, you were actually their lab manager for a year, whatever it happens to be. If your direct interactions with this individual, including during the interviews, show that you genuinely don't have that passion and that commitment, for example, you don't know who the scholars are in your field right now. If you're in psych and you end up saying that your biggest influences are Sigmund Freud and, Carl Jung, you're screwed. I'm telling you right now. You gotta know what is hot now. Who are the main researchers in your subfield right now? You need to know what are the trends in the field right now. It's so important, everybody, all right? You can't just have taken a whole bunch of classes as an undergrad, not get properly prepped on what's going on in the field right now, and expect that this is gonna go well for you, because I swear to God it's not, all right? Pursuing a PhD is a huge commitment, both in terms of time and energy, and admissions committees want to see that you've got that drive and determination to see it through to the end. Because remember, 40 to 70% of doctoral students don't finish within 7 years. That's nuts. Make sure you're passionate enough about your particular area of research and you've got a clear understanding of what you want to achieve with your PhD. It's so important. So those are reasons people get rejected. What's my advice for you for a successful application? First one, obviously, is start early. Don't do things last second. I have had people contact me and book sessions with me in terms of one-on-one consultation where their materials are due tomorrow. And the stuff is never good when I end up getting it. We always have to polish it up. This is why I've got an 80% success rate of getting people into their target programs, because we start working early. I have people who literally haven't even started freshman year yet who contact me and want to work with me all the way through the degree. And then I have people, like I said, like last couple of days. The earlier, the better you can start preparing your application materials, because it's also going to reduce your stress. It's going to give you plenty of time to research programs, gather materials, prep those application materials, and it's going to give you time to be able to address any potential red flags on your CV or your transcripts, like a low GPA or like a lack of research or practical experience, okay? The second thing is do your research, and I don't mean like, in a lab or something, even though you should be doing that, right? But I also mean that it's really important that you figure out who your target supervisor and what your target programs are gonna be. I had a delightful one-on-one session with a young lady a couple of weeks ago, and she was just such a wonderful person, and it broke my heart because it became so clear she hadn't done any research. She had literally just gone on to Google and typed in top 10 PsyD programs, and she'd watched some YouTube videos, including one of mine, which is how she found me, and literally that's how she chose programs, but she didn't look into them at all. This is really bad, okay? You need to figure out whether a program is a good fit for you, and I've got other videos on the channel about how you can ascertain whether or not that fit is actually there or not. Fit with the supervisor, fit with the program. Look for ones that align with your research interests, with your career goals, with supervisors who are well-connected and have a really strong goodness of fit with your interests. You're gonna be there for at least half a decade, usually. You better make sure that this is a place you wanna be in terms of the program, and take into consideration other factors like funding, please. Financial responsibility is key here. People don't run the numbers. Just run the numbers on how much money you're probably going to end up making as a first year or first 5 years of your career. Please do not look at things like Bureau of Labor Statistic numbers or just random stuff on Google for average or median salaries in your given city or state. It is not worth it. This is not somebody who's just starting. This is people who are just starting all the way through to end of career, taking all those numbers together, and it is always artificially inflated. I don't want you to end up in a situation like that, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, build your network. Personal connections are king when it comes to getting into graduate school. More important than publications, and I say that tentatively because publications are crazy important in this insane market for PhDs in terms of trying to get in. It's like an all-time low across pretty much every career field. It's nuts. So networking is really important. as part of this process. Go to conferences, go to other continuing professional development events in your field, connect with people who are already in doctoral programs or have recently successfully completed ones, particularly the ones like, alumni of the programs that you want to get into. These connections can provide valuable insights and support throughout your application journey and then also once you're in there. But making connections with your target supervisor is the #1 recommendation that I've got. And no, just sending an email to somebody is not a personal connection. Drives me nuts, guys. It drives me crazy, okay? It's very important that you get in touch with these folks. My recommendation, minimum 18 months. Minimum 18 months to be able to build that relationship up. Again, I've got other videos where I talk about how to do that. Okay, #4 key is to get involved in research, not just doing your research, right? As I mentioned earlier, right? Lack of research experience is one of the main reasons that doctoral applicants get rejected. To overcome that, you gotta get involved in research projects and seek out opportunities to be able to present your work or publish. That as an undergrad is so hard. This is why to be able to get step-by-step guidance on how to do it, you gotta become a member of something like Publication Academy because it's super cheap and you get a free trial to be able to learn how to be able to do that step by step. It is one of the most difficult things to do in academia, and I always say it's a huge red flag if you have got somebody who is a good mentor but who tells you, hey, Jay, I want you to be able to take the lead on publishing this paper. I'll support you every step of the way, and just do it. You write the manuscript and you can be first author. Wow. This is terrible. Literally in 19 years in academia, I've never seen that go well one time, ever, okay? I do not recommend it. I recommend teaming up with an advanced grad student or a postdoc who's in the same lab, letting them take the lead, you being a co-author and basically shadowing them, getting that experience, right? And getting mentored there. So those are my recommendations, okay? I love you guys to death. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel, like it, and I will see you in the next one. God bless you. Peace. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.